What y'all on,
How
man?
you doing, sir?
All right,
You
and
need an
you?
invitation?
Sure.
Yeah, invitation of the Warriors Jesus death,
I
and all the
appreciate that.
information's on this side.
I
You're,
appreciate that.
you're
Y'all have
more
a
than
good
welcome.
one. Be
Okay.
safe out here. How y'all doing? Hey, how y'all
How you
doing?
doing?
We hope you join us.
I will.
All right.
Y'all have a good one. Hello. Yup, family, we out here. About to get this good old weather. Soak it in, soak it in, soak it in, soak it in. Hold on real quick. I wanted it. Ooh wee. Alright. Got my signal back. Put a one in the chat. What's up, Soul of Black? What did it say, Soul of Black Crow? Okay, okay. Wonder what that's about. Put me up on it. What's up, Aaron? Well, today, you know, I wanted to rap with y'all to taste about sensibility. You know what I'm saying? Or as some would say, sensitivity. You know what I'm saying? I know in society, so often, they always want to say, you too sensitive, or you so sensitive. Get out your feelings. You know, I'm pretty sure I ain't the only one that done heard that. Get out your feelings. Um, but at the same time, while we talking about get out your feelings, we fail to recognize that the very things that we consider the ills of society, the very things that we complain about that's wrong in society, often stem from a lack of sensitivity. You know what I'm saying? A lacking of sensitivity. Um, but I also want to make sure y'all know that, like, even when it comes to talking about your senses, you feel me? This is dealing with sensitivity. So, what's up with the brown sugar? For the most part, you know what I'm saying? We talking about the same thing. And in order for you to be a balanced individual in life, you know what I'm saying? You gonna have to notice these things as well as operate from these areas. Sometimes we forget that it is about balance. And so we find ourselves being off balance or operating from a place of imbalance. Um, Thank you so much, love, for that investment as I seek to invest in you, making us one as we continue. So when it gets to a point that we're talking about the brothers taking advantage of sisters, right? Recognize that a lot of that comes from the conversations that brothers are having amongst each other, whether it's you and your feelings, get out your feelings, you know, these conversations uh, where, what's up, Leapy? Where brothers are also told, whether by a group of brothers that they around or by way of society, that they not allowed to have feelings, that they not allowed to have feelings. What you doing, Pup Pup? So for me, I find it highly important to make it a thing to talk about these type of things, because I just got through having a conversation with some of my brothers on YouTube, where one of the brothers who um, I ran across, what's up, Medusa? One of the brothers who I ran across my information, I would say that, because I never really got an opportunity to actually talk to the brother in person or by phone, you feel me? But when I first got on YouTube, I did a video that was called We Gotta Help Each Other Out. You know what I'm saying? And when I made this video, I actually was going through a situation where I had pretty much done all I could do from the standpoint that I understood at the time, you feel me? Good to see you, Queen. To try to uplift my family and to build my family up from the standpoint of, you know, breaking away from society and doing for self. But I had hit a wall, you know. I had hit a wall because as sure as this what I wanted to do, I didn't have the village, you feel me? Nor did I have enough understanding, Teddy, on where to go past making a decision to do better. You know what I mean? To do for self, to work to be self-sufficient. Because, you know, we still live in a society where, for the most part, you know, in order to exist in this society, in order for me to be able to push these messages out to y'all, I still have to have some form of communication. As far as these cell phones, some form of Wi-Fi, in order to push out these messages, which were required for me to be plugged into the system by some sense of that word or a phrase. So that being said, you know, I was putting out the message, man, we gotta help each other because nobody else gonna do it. You know, I know we gotta start where we at because, you know, for the most part, we all are in the system somewhat, you know what I'm saying? By some sense of that phrase. So us starting where we at, if somebody, say for instance, Medusa decides to unplug, you know, that would have to start by way of her recognizing what things she can do without today. You know, things that, you know, sometimes we forget we live in excess, meaning we have a whole bunch of, you know what I'm saying, things that we don't necessarily need, you know what I mean? We have abundance. And when it comes to abundance, I recognizing that we abundantly connected to things that are no longer serving us, you know, and get to a point that we got a choice to make. You know, I think about some of the things that I struggled with, you know, before I was even able to start making those decisions. Some of the things I struggled with was recognizing how I had certain addictions. What's up, Indigo Lady? I had certain addictions to things such as, how do I put it, adult content, because we on TikTok, so we got to keep it, you know what I'm saying, at a certain level. But I have an addiction to adult content and not realizing, even though I appreciate that love, appreciate you coming through, I accessed this content when I was young, you feel me? So this addiction started young, right? But as I began to grow into my manhood, and remind you, we talking about sensitivity, I began to become insensitive to the women that I was objectifying. Appreciate that investment as I seek to invest in you. Because every time I would look at these people, I would automatically think how it would be, you know what I'm saying, to be intimate with them, rather than even try to get to know them or anything of that sort. You feel me? So at some point I would say I was becoming insensitive, you know what I mean, towards the people that I was around. And even furthermore, as you know, I'm almost 40 now. I don't, you know, participate in it, even watching or partaking in objectifying women to the point that I began to recognize how it's all connected. Appreciate that love, how it's all connected to the things that I say I don't want for my people. As far as we all can agree that we don't want children to be, taken from their parents or taken from their homes, whether by the system or by people who choose to funnel them into a system where these children will be further mistreated. Um, so when I think about that, it's like, what the hell, bro? I don't get it. But when I think about that, I'm like, it becomes incumbent upon us to recognize that we all have a part to play, meaning we have to begin to help one another along the way so that it doesn't lead to a situation where innocence is taken. When we become insensitive to how things get the way that they are, meaning when we become so insensitive to how, the energy we putting out, might eventually reach little children. The energy we putting out might eventually affect people that are, that's crazy. What is going on? Might affect, appreciate you sharing the live, might affect people that we feel like don't deserve that type of, consequence or that type of interaction. It starts with us. How did that car disappear that fast? It starts with us recognizing, one, that we all affect each other. You feel me? That we all have an effect on each other. And when you recognize that we all have an effect on each other, you begin to take your effects seriously. The ways in which you carry yourself, you begin to pay attention to how you are affected by things in such a way that it's like, you know what? Now that I'm sensitive to XYZ, I'm going to make sure that I put myself in other people's shoes before I go about doing certain things. Because it's when we don't put ourselves in other people's shoes, such as, just looking at people for what we can get out of them. To me, that's what creates, what's up, Dasha? That's what creates this energy. Ooh, I looked directly in the sun by accident. But that's what creates this energy where you have people that are willing to take advantage of others. And I hope I can say this word, but because I don't have another word for it, but it creates psychopaths or people that are predatory on other individuals for whatever reason, you feel me? To a point, what's up, Lady Bird? To a point we have a problematic situation because their lack of sensitivity to what others may be feeling from their actions. And when it gets to that point, it's almost inevitable that our children, as well as our elders, our middle age, all of us will be affected by the actions that we allow to persist. And as I pay attention to society and how the way that we are socialized is leading to people becoming more and more insensitive, I do my best where I can to provide a place for people to feel a certain level of sensitivity, because I know up until now it's done been taught that sensitivity is really just connected to, you crying or you expressing your feelings through some manner, you know what I'm saying? But I need for y'all to recognize that it is all sensitivity. This whole existence that we living in is related to sensitivity. When you begin to lose your senses, so to speak, when you begin to lose your senses, so to speak, you will notice a disconnect from the body. And for some of us, we'll become so insensitive to the point that we can be entertained to death. You know, the things that we're watching, we're entertaining death. We're literally entertaining death, as well as figuratively. You know, some people have become so creative in the measures in which they would like to convey their messages. But when you think about the time we spend on things that are not becoming of us, we're literally entertaining death. The time we spend on things that are not teaching us to be more sensible or sensitive to the livelihood of ourselves by way of tapping in. Because when it gets to the point of talking about our livelihood, it's all connected to source. The source of the energy that projects or animates us through this body. As we become more in tune with the flesh or more consumed with the ways of our flesh, meaning what we gonna eat today, how do I look to other people, trying to think of some other things that we go about every day that we don't really even notice, that it's just making us more concerned with the outer man. So anything that's really just concerning of your surface, the fear to not be ourselves because of how we might appear to others. And what I mean by be yourself, it's your innermost thoughts. It's that urge to tell your friend, hey, maybe we shouldn't do that because the way that we treat this person, you know what I'm saying, it has an effect. The way that we carry ourselves, somebody's watching. And not, oh, somebody's watching, so we should be fearful what they gonna do to us. Not fearful at all, but my thing is the examples that you put out by the way that you live, the way that you carry yourself will make the world a difference. Will make the world a different place for us all. And recognize that we all got a part to play. We all got a part to play. I know when I used to talk to my friends that was in drama class, they used to be going out for certain roles and they would be excited depending on which role they received, and they would be disappointed depending on which role they received. But I need for all of y'all to know that you are the star in your movie. We all play a major role. You feel me? We all are a part of a great motion picture. You feel me? To the point that as time goes on and this movie plays out, you will begin to see, as much as you keep looking to the left and to the right, you was the star of the movie the whole time. You was the star this whole time. Meaning, you don't spend no more time with nobody else than you spend with yourself. And when it comes to the star in the movie, right, it's usually the person that the focus that in the movie is on, right? As much as we like to focus on other people, our main focus, as much as as much as we think we're focusing on other people, because again, for the most part, how we socialize in society, you only see what other people want you to see. You only see them how they want you to see them. So as much as you think you focusing on somebody else, you really just entertaining yourself. What's up with it, Whitney? You really just entertaining yourself until death. Meaning, you're distracting yourself up but for a moment to keep the focus off what the focus is. And the main focus is you. You feel me? As sure as I got on these glasses, I can take them off and give them to one of y'all. But the way in which I see life will never be the way in which you see it. Not exactly. We might have some core principles. We might have some things that we agree upon. But in totality, like when this shit start happening, niggas driving through the park. Anyway, like it's a street. Um, but in totality, my collective of experiences uniquely shape how I see things. You feel me? Your collective of experiences uniquely shape how you see things. Um, Appreciate you, Shantae. Appreciate you coming through with that investment as I seek to invest in you, making us one in our connection. Um, Again, we live in a world where we rationalizing the effects that we have on one another, as to say that one person is less important than the other. Um, One person is less important than the other, to the point as we begin to socialize further, we tend to do things that are hurtful to one another without concern. Without concern. Um, and as much as I might get mocked or treated a certain way for being, as my friends say, sensitive, um, I'm glad I haven't lost sight of my senses, meaning how all things are connected. Because if you can't see the connection within yourself, it's going to be mighty hard for you to see the connection in everything else. It becomes a thing of, I can always rationalize how I treat other people because it ain't me. You know, I remember a phrase that I did used to say when I was young and I was becoming insensitive to rationalize the ways in which I was trying to hustle in the street. You know, we used to say, man, if I ain't getting money with you, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Only for me to get older. And shoot, honestly, not before it was before I got older. I started losing friends. And upon losing these friends, I began to catch feelings. You know, when it was the older people funerals I was going to, I understood it was a part of life. You know, we are born and we live a stretch of life, and once we begin to get feeble again, we pass away. But I also understand through questioning, like why my homies had to go. I recognize it was because of a level of insensitivity that was developed in some of them to perpetrate on other people, as well as in our youth. We had a lot of insensitivity because we were still trying to figure out things that we have been trained to not have any concern about. When you're young, they tell you focus on getting some money. Because when you get old, at some point you're not going to be able to take care of yourself. And society, only function is to keep going. You feel me? Even when you gone. So if they can utilize the youth, you know what I'm saying, in this war for longevity, because that's why people go to war. Them same youth who have been desensitized would be the same youth that would take the lives of people that we care about, as well as effectively taking their own lives at the same time. I realized a lot of times I had to die, you know, meaning my ego. It was times I didn't want to say nothing to my homeboys. I ain't even, it was times I didn't say nothing, but I left. You know what I mean? And in a way, like I tell people, in your way, you are an example for others. as well as by way of the path that you lead, these are the things that you will receive. And if you become so insensitive that you take away the innocence from somebody who didn't do nothing to you or didn't do nothing in life to warrant that, you feel me? Like I tell people all the time, it's a sad truth for some people because they find out late. They find out in the end before they're able to grasp other concepts that the ways in which we live life, the insensitivity in which we carry ourselves, will determine a lot of times how we go out. And often when people are taken in their youth, it's meant to get our attention. It's meant to get our attention in a way that will cause for a change, no matter how old you are, no matter how young you are, no matter how in between you are. You know, when you see certain things like that happen to people that are so young and innocent, it will cause for you to wake up in such a way. You say you speaking, it will cause for you to wake up to the mortality of your own life. And again, we talking about sensitivity or becoming more sensitive to the ways of life as you begin to recognize over time in your plight as well as the plight of others. The more we lose connection to our senses, the more we lose connection to others. What's up with it? The Empress, appreciate you coming through. The closer we are to our exit. Now, I would have you know that even though in a human sense, it is a sad thing to lose a connection to somebody who you've had a connection to for so long. When somebody passes away or when you lose a friendship. But I also, like I said, I would have you know the good news in that too. The good news is the more you become sensitive, meaning tap into the ways of sensibility, what allows for you to have sensitivity, how your spirit animates this body. You'll begin to learn things about the spirit and realize there is no disconnection. So as sure as you're thinking about somebody, sure as you're thinking about somebody in this body, they thinking about you in some aspect. You feel me? Or about to be thinking about you, or were thinking about you. Again, past, present, future. All of these things have purpose based on the timing in which you see it subjectively. But all possibilities is present at all times. So whether they was thinking about you, going to think about you, or are currently thinking about you, all these things are one and the same. They are thinking about you. So it sure as these effects show our connection while we're still in this physical body. Reason why we're told to keep good thoughts about the people you love. Remember the good times is because that's where you will exist eternally. You feel me? As your spirit exits this body, the way that people think of you, the way that you made people feel in this existence will determine your eternity when they think on you. So that's why it's also so important for them to get us to think about other people's ancestors more than we think of our own. Don't get me wrong. I feel like every moral story should lead you to think or connect the dots on how you could do the same thing for your own, right? I'm gonna come out on a limb. If somebody told you, because I ain't gonna go down that road of dealing with people's religion, somebody kept putting in your head that George Washington was so important. Recognize George Washington really was a physical, it would really embodied a physical vessel at one point in time. You know, as sure as you think highly of George Washington, the ways in which you think of him uplifts his spirit as well as the connections that he has left on this planet, meaning the relatives that he has left on this planet, the people that identify with the image of his vessel. So they will have a certain level of relevancy in your life. And depending on how sensitive you are to the moral of that story, if you become an idol worshiper, meaning you begin to be still in your growth, stay right there where that story was given to you at, you'll be stuck in only showing relevance to the ancestor of somebody else rather than connecting that dot and saying, you know what, I'm going to raise the energy of my ancestor. I'm going to make sure people don't forget the ancestor I identify with. You feel me? To the point that when people see my image and my children, you feel me, they would show a certain level of relevancy or respect, reverence. You know what I'm saying? Now imagine if you did this for generations, for as long as, you know, we done been taught, appreciate that follow, Britt, as long as we done been taught about other people's ancestors, we would create, and we all did it, we would create an environment where we all would have a healthy appreciation for the backgrounds of others. You feel me? We would have a healthy appreciation. Yes, they are asking. Oh, they asking, was I speaking? Hold on. We all would have a healthy appreciation for the backgrounds of others. Melissa, could you, if you still in here, inbox me, because I'm not sure exactly what you're saying. But again, with us reverencing and appreciating our family members, each one of us, we all would develop a healthy appreciation for the ancestors of us all and effectively appreciating the predecessors, as well as all children that come down that line. But with us being socialized, the ways in which, you know what I'm saying, we all have effectively agreed that was okay, because even silence is agreeance. Even silence is agreeance, to the point that the fact that we're silent with no protests, you know, I've been a part of many of protests, and not to say that protests always create a direct change. Oftentimes in our protests, we didn't see an immediate change. Lost a lot of comrades along the way, so to speak, to the point that the sensitivity that they held in the vessels that they once appeared in, you know, it disintegrated, it disappeared. But as sure as I continue to take the necessary steps to come out and speak to the people, I know that as sure as I stand here, people can see my big mama. People can feel the energy of my brother Darren. People can experience the relevancy that my cousin Terrell had in my life. The bravery and brilliance that I saw from my cousin Dada, even up on protecting me from things that he knew would affect me adversely down the road. I recognize it's through the sacrifices of each of our lives that if we could just take a moment for one to appreciate our own lives, we'll be able to appreciate the lives of others in a way that will uplift this existence. Each one of us holds solutions, you feel me, that we have all developed over time by way of our experiences. So if I could just take a moment, you know what I'm saying, to appreciate you. If I could just take a moment to say, you know what, that's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always try to tell y'all when y'all come in, like, I will that your day is just as amazing as your energy feels to me. You know, when it comes to the universal laws, recognizing what you give off and how you absorb energy is going to make the world a difference. Like I said, the way your brain works, right? We absorb energy, you feel me? What we allow ourselves to take in. Our brain also loops experiences based on how we perceive them, you feel me? So it's very important that we learn to reason within, because that's the third part, learning to reason, you feel me? Being conscious or aware in the moment. If we weren't aware in the moment, you know, it'd be hard to have these experiences. And that's also why I tell y'all the future, past, and present exist at the same time, because it's all in your mind. But when you lose sensitivity to the many examples that we are given all around us in the forms of people, first in the form of ourselves, but just like, you know, when we was a babe, our mothers and fathers was caring for us before we even realized what this existence was. So with a young future, RC Master, how you feeling? Sometimes we get back in that babe-like mind state, y'all. If you could, if you would, use your sensitivity to tap them screens like knocking on wood, and effectively things would be all good in each one of us, being that we used our energy to bring forth a change, a necessary change that would better all our lives. But remembering that before we had a sense of this existence, we was being cared for. What's over there, Ren? We was being cared for by our mothers, our fathers. And this is reflected in nature. Same thing as we get older. You begin to see the moon, which is reflected as a feminine aspect. You begin to see the sun, which is reflected as a father aspect. When y'all hear me doing that breathing like that, sometimes I get a download that I'm extremely grateful or overwhelmed with joy to be able to recognize that as I become more sensitive to the ways of life by asking as well as commanding this vessel. You know what I'm saying? We don't ask the wheel to turn when we drive in the car. You know what I'm saying? We man the wheel. You feel me? We command that wheel by way of our energy that we impress upon it. And at a certain point in this existence, you will get to a point that you command your will. You impress upon your will to bring the things forth that are necessary. But as a babe, you appreciate. As a babe, you appreciate my baby. My baby's calling me. But we almost to the point of wrapping up. Send out my energy to my children. Wrapping up. Send out my energy to my children. 1 minute. All right, my mic back. My mic sounds nice. So I'm having this conversation. I said, as a babe, and next thing I know, the baby version of me is calling. Um, but as a babe, we didn't recognize exactly how to voice our appreciation for our mothers and fathers' contributions to our lives. We just existed in the benefit thereof. You feel me? And for a lot of us, we just exist in the benefit thereof as far as um, nature goes, which is our connection to this existence. Even in dealing with so-called concepts of negative, positive, you feel me? We recognize that the more you become sensitive to the ways of life, you begin to recognize these are the things that bring all into existence. You know what I mean? Again, as I like to always explain, if you ever dealt with film back in the day, you recognize you start with a negative, and through working with the film, I think it's like some kind of chemicals that was added to the film to express it in a certain way. As we release certain chemicals within our body as well when we're in our mother's womb, she's releasing chemicals as well as we're releasing chemicals. And each of these chemicals have a communication within the body. As time goes on through this conversation or these chemical releases within the body, you bring forth a being that should be appreciated. That should be, in other words, loved. What's up with a Cheerio? As a mother and a father does, we love our children even before they can offer anything to us in life. You know, so often people are like, you know, they love and choose their mates based on what they feel like these people can offer to their life, rather than having an unconditional love that we've all expressed at one point in time, whether we would like to be sensitive enough in this moment to be able to decipher going back. I'm grateful that I was able to look back on certain things that my mother and father did. For one, and how they carried themselves, to where I was able to catch myself at moments when I might have found myself surrounded by an environment that didn't reflect what I came from. And so often a lot of us find ourselves in environments that are not necessarily reflective and maybe where we came from, that are not reflective. That are not reflective. Phew, Lord. We talking about sensitivity. Send some money for my children to do what they wanted to with it. Only for my daughter and my son to keep calling me. Even if I thought I'd tell them, once I get off live, I'm gonna hit you back. I'm gonna hit you back. Not, I ain't gonna call y'all at all. Not, forget what y'all talking about. And I honestly feel like, you know, that's reflective of times of how I done been in life. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna speak for me. I ain't gonna put this on none of y'all. But there's done been times, you know, we so caught up in the moment and what we want and not realizing, should we have what we want, but we so focused on how we wanted it to look. I'm talking about, you know, we done had people in our lives that truly love us. Thank you, love, for still being here, brown sugar. That truly love us, but it didn't look like how we wanted it to look. Appreciate you for sharing the live too, Queen. It didn't look like how we wanted it to look. Thank you, Queen. You didn't have to do that, but I sure appreciate you. To the point that we begin to be ungrateful and say, I want something else. Now here it is. Now, my kids know I do not um, have this sensitivity to want them to have all these sugary products because to me, they give way to, you know, our insensitivity over time. Like as we know, sugar and salt are the biggest reasons for a lot of us wind up leaving this existence. Not to mention, you know, shoot, it's some of the harshest drugs. If we be for real and call them for what they are, to a point, I take that lick because I told them, you know, I allow for y'all to get what y'all want with this money, and of course, I know they wanted to go get the little candy that they want. You feel me? So here it is, my son. I'm thinking it was my daughter, which looks just like me as much as my son. They like bookends because the one is the oldest and the other one is the youngest in that section of kids. My son wants to get a toy, which I'm actually kind of proud of him for thinking to get a toy instead of some sugary candy. And his mom says, I guess they can't afford the toy. It's only enough money for them to get some candy. Now, mind you, I think I sent too much darn money when it comes to some darn candy. $30 is a lot of darn candy. Especially considering I tried to tell her, let's allow for them to make, cause you know they be making candy out of the fruits nowadays. You feel me? Like you know you got I think they call them crack grapes. People make candy out of the watermelon rinds. Again, y'all, for those who might feel like I'm getting off topic, we still talking about sensitivity. Again, I'm sensing that my son is growing up. You feel me? He's starting to think outside the box. Not to mention, you know, I've always pushed for them to get things that would teach them or keep them active, doing other things rather than constantly trying to feed their flesh. Be that as it may, I'm having this conversation. What's up, Lamont, with y'all? Because I noticed that we're transgressing upon each other, meaning mistreating and abusing each other by way of the lack of sensitivity that we've been taught all our lives. The imbalance in sensitivity, I would say, too, because we're taught to only focus on the rationale that comes by way of our senses. You know what I mean, too? What's up, Tina? Rather than being balanced by paying attention to the rationale, our ability to reason, and our ability to express emotions, control over our energy. You know what I'm saying? But you can only gain a certain level of control over your energy through coming in contact with that, through exercising your energy. You know, a case in point, we at the park, walking around. I also had a conversation with my daughter, but she asked, Daddy, why you not going to church? Well, I know she'll see this one day, but the answer I got right now is not necessarily related to any person, but for me, church kept me in a state of fear. Fear of not being good enough, rather than recognizing that at some point I was already given the keys, you know what I'm saying? The keys to life and death. And the more I keep putting that off on another being instead of recognizing, the accountability I have within myself, it would lessen my steps. It would lessen, the efforts that I put into, exercising these things within myself, recognizing that my brain loops experiences. You know what I'm saying? I absorb experiences. And in the middle, my consciousness is experiencing it all. You feel me? My consciousness is experiencing it all. And through how I balance these perspectives, you know what I'm saying, the absorption of energy, which gives way to feelings. As feelings and sensitivity go hand in hand, as well as we use our senses, you know what I'm saying, to analyze, for the most part, on how we feel about a thing or even how we think, because we are looping what's happened through our thoughts. And what we sense is important. What's up with it, Vaya? What we sense is important. How you doing, Becca? As time goes on, we begin to rationalize that it is okay to mistreat this person or that person based on how we feel about ourselves. So when you can't recognize this balance or balancing effect that's taking place within you, it's easy for you to mistreat somebody, get off course because of the imbalance that's happening within yourself. As much as we would like to write it out to somebody else, everybody has to, take account for themselves, what led to them being involved in certain things, what led to them having certain interactions. But when it comes to us taking account for ourselves, that, we can start all the way from the beginning, you know what I'm saying? Or as back far as we can recognize to be able to, use one, our rationale, as well as our ability to absorb energy, aka feelings, to in turn provide a balance in the middle by being able to reason through our awareness. Just saying though. I appreciate this moment in time to focus as well as work through my thoughts. Appreciate this moment in time that you spent with another version of yourself, which I represent. Appreciate all the things that I was able to attract, as we recognize it does us no good to chase after things, because the things that we chase will still soon get away from us. Whether that's, by way of us rationalizing that they no longer serve a purpose in our lives. But when you begin to develop, what's up with the positive vibes, begin to develop this ability to attract by way of you doing the inner work, raising your vibration to a level that will attract the vibration that you're seeking. As all of these things that we're seeking in life have a vibration, whether it's a place, person, or thing, they all have a vibration. And the ancients knew this as to why they did certain things to attract what they sought to be a part of their civilization, or what they sought to be civilization. I'm grateful for the part I'm allowed to play to recognize the vibration that is me and bring forth what I will into existence, as well as recognize that everything up until now I attracted into my own life. As to why the old heads say you get what you deserve, or you gonna get what you got coming. So ask to be more sensitive to the ways of life. So therefore, you're not blindsided by the things that you are attracting. I get it. Everybody has a right to carry themselves in the way that they choose. You feel me? We all have a right to carry ourselves in the way that we choose. Yet in this life, recognize that certain things that we carry out, you know what I'm saying? Certain ways in which we carry ourselves attract other vibrations. You know what I'm saying? I recognize as sure as I was seeking to be positive, I was attracting negative too. You feel me? If you choose to be the positive all the time, you know, those that need you will be reflective of negative energies. You know what I'm saying? What's the point of you being the positive and not being attracted to negative vibrations, or negative vibrations not being attracted to your positive, as that's a form of balance, as well as those are the ones that need you the most. You feel me? Those are the ones that need you the most. It just is what it is. You feel me? It is what it is. It just is what it is. How you doing? Quick question. Are you on social media? Are you on social media? Like TikTok? Okay. I was just asking because all I do on TikTok is try to provide inspiration for people. So if I could try to send you some stuff to your phone, is that all right?
I can follow you on TikTok if you want.
Okay. I try to give you a space because I got a daughter as well that I protect, so I'm trying to. Hey, you got Mickey.
You got Mickey?
She took your whole face. I'm talking about dimples and
Is that you?
yes sir.
All right,
Appreciate
man.
it. Nice meeting you too.
You too.
Y'all good one. What's up, Cody? Appreciate that follow. But with that being said, family, I love you as myself, and it ain't nothing you can do about it, as we are one. And I'm so glad we in connection. Kinfolk, let me see what they talking about. Let me see what it's talking about. Appreciate you pulling up a chair, coming over here to the round table where we break it all down. Say why? We just broke bread right now. Remember to smile, family, as you might be the only smile that somebody sees.